So great seeing my next guest back in action. He's going to be competing on that UFC Fight Night card, April 22nd. It's Brady Hiestand back here on the program. Brady, how are you, man?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Doing great. Enjoying this sunny weather out here in Vancouver, Canada. How are things out your way? Looks like you are getting a bit of sun as well, too.
Yeah. It's same here, Spokane. So we're just getting like the first like nice little stretch of sun for like the first part of the year, and yeah, it's nice. Like we went for a run this morning, and it's feeling good.
Still a little cold up here, but that's to be expected. You can't, if that was the case, we'd be living in California with that type of weather. But let's talk about you, man. We haven't seen you since obviously a few months ago. Was this the right amount of time off, or were you trying to get in there a little bit sooner?
Yeah, I was hoping to get in there a little bit sooner, but any time's good. I was hoping to do a quick turnaround, but the UFC had other plans. But 5 months later is not too long of a wait. Coming off of that ACL surgery where I had to take 13 months off, so
that's right.
Still better than that.
Yeah, for sure. And it looked like you got a full camp for this one, right?
For sure. Yeah, long camp. Yeah, it was a little bit over 3 months, so yeah, I got a good amount of time to get ready for this guy.
Good stuff. And how excited are you to get this matchup? Obviously, Danaa, I always forget how you pronounce it, but I mean, this has got like a fight of the night written all over it. How excited were you to get this opponent?
Yeah, I was excited. Like they did a good matchup for this. I think he has a good name. He's fought some tough dudes, and so when I go out there and beat this guy, I think it's going to look really good on my resume and kind of climb me up the rankings. Maybe after this one, he beat Chris Gutierrez, who's like on a killer streak right now. So maybe after this fight, maybe one more. Who knows? Maybe I'll be scratched in the top 15.
Yeah, I know implications of this are pretty big. Tell me about camp a bit. Who have you mainly been working with? Who's helping you get ready for this one?
Yeah, so last month I went down to Vegas for an entire month. So I went down there with my team, Mike Chiesa, my buddy Ashton Charlton, and then our coach Rick Little. So we went down there, worked with a lot of guys at Syndicate. I got to train with Merab almost every day. Some rounds in with Davey Grant, Vince Morales. So that was some good looks, And then obviously my crew back up here, I got my roommates, Hedda and Bryce. They're all 35ers, so just putting in work with those guys.
I saw that photo with you and Dominick Cruz. Did you get to train with him at all?
Yeah. So that was one of my coolest experiences down in Vegas. Me and him actually grappled for like 45 minutes straight, and him being a legend of the sport, that was huge for me. So it was cool to get experience that, kind of pick his brain a little bit. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that.
No problem. No, I thought that was super cool. And also, like you mentioned there, getting to work with Merab, so many of these other guys. I know you got a great camp back home, but just how does it feel getting to, I mean, Merab's like a top bantamweight. I mean, in reality, he should be fighting for the title next. What's it like getting to work with him and kind of gauge your skill set as, you're getting to, work with one of the top guys in the division?
Yeah, for sure. No, working with him was huge. And like just seeing how they do it down there, they train a little bit differently. They're doing MMA sparring twice a week. We do it maybe once a week. So it's just like seeing how they move and kind of, like you said, gauging myself on, my skills and stuff like that. It gave me a lot of confidence going into this fight.
And I know there's been that kind of long connection with Syndicate and your gym as well. I know Mike's trained there for a while. Is that something you see yourself doing, every camp, or is it just, I guess, whenever it works out? Like, because I know there is that good relationship there.
Yeah, I love John Wood and everyone at Syndicate. Like I said, Merab, Vince Morales, all those guys, they're super welcoming. I don't necessarily think it's going to be necessary every camp, but it all depends. That's the great part about our gym is we got a tight knit crew, and so we go to where whatever's necessary for this fight. So this guy, he's a good power puncher, good good striking on the feet, and so we go to find the guys that are good at that. And so, it depends, but I think keeping that relationship with Syndicate is going to be huge for my future.
And you can take advantage of the PI while you're there too, which is nice, right? So
yeah, all the good food.
I was just gonna say that's the one thing I hear from people is they rave about the food in the cafeteria there. It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, it's almost hard for me because I go down there and I'm like trying to cut weight and stuff, and I see all this food, and I'm a fat kid at heart, so I love to eat. And so I'm cutting weight and I'm looking around, and all my friends are getting burgers and fucking bacon and all this shit, and I'm like, oh. I just have to watch them eat it. But that's the only downside to the PI is just seeing all the good food. Outside of camp, I'll probably stay there for a few more days. I'm grubbing out.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I try and do like a cheat day a week. Obviously I don't fight, but I like I definitely prioritize like what I'm going to eat on that day if I want to have something a little bit bad. And I'll tell you the lengths I go. I'll just mention this quickly as someone who lives in Washington State. So Point Roberts, Washington is like 5 minutes away from my house. I go there all the time to get gas because it's cheaper than where I live here in British Columbia. They have a marketplace there, and some of the desserts they have, like the Ben and Jerry's and some of that stuff, it's different than what we have here in Canada. So what I'll do is I'll go down, I'll buy a bunch of snacks, and then leave them in the fridge because I know I'm not going to get it here in Canada. So that's the lengths I'll go to just to have some good food. So I'm sure you can relate to that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, everywhere I go, especially if I'm like going to somewhere new and they have like a candy bar that I haven't seen or something like that, I'll go
Yeah.
grab it, and then once I'm able to eat it, I'll keep it for later.
There you go. We're on the same page there. Just last thing about Syndicate. You mentioned Merab. I don't know when exactly you got to work with him, but how cool was it to see him get that really dominant win over Piotr Jan? I'm sure that was awesome to just see a guy you train with, really emerge as a top contender in the division.
No, that was huge actually, because I worked with him like 2 weeks leading up to that fight, and so
Oh,
I was
cool.
yeah, it seemed like every time he came in, we would do pro practice at 11:30, and he was one of my main training partners. So yeah, if I felt little like it was more personal watching that fight, seeing him with that lead up to that fight and all that good stuff, and knowing about, he had like a hand injury leading into that fight. He busted up his hand. One time actually we were sparring. This was actually pretty crazy. We like head butted and we both almost got knocked out. And like going into that fight, I'm like, dude, I hope like that doesn't affect him.
Oh,
We
wow.
both shot
Okay.
at the same time, clash heads. He fell back, I fell back. We were on the ground for a second. And so like going into that fight, I just knew what he was like, the adversity he had to overcome, and to see him perform like that was pretty crazy.
Your corner, I imagine Rick Little. Who else is going to be in the cage with you that night?
Mike Chiesa and Ashton Charlton, always the dream team.
There you go. And how do you see this fight playing out on April 22nd?
I see myself getting the finish in the second or third round. I think he's a good fast starter. He comes out hot. He's going to put pressure on. I'm going to, evade all the strikes, clash a lot, maybe get him to the ground in the first round, tire him out. And then I think my pressure is just going to be too much. In the second and third, it's going to come with a finish.
There's a big fight a week before you in the featherweight division. We've got Max Holloway and Arnold Allen going at it, 5 rounds. Who do you think wins that fight? Who do you think gets it done?
I think it all depends on what Max Holloway comes out. I think if it's prime Max, I think Max all day. But I don't know if he's like maybe discouraged after losing to Volkanovski and just not, he's not in title talks right now. It's hard because he's lost 2 times in a row, or 3 times, right? Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's affected his training or anything, but I think prime Max beats Arnold.
But what about on the 15th though? Do you think Max has the edge though because of the experience, or do you think because Allen's sort of the up and comer, hasn't lost in the UFC? Do you think he has the edge?
I think Max still has the edge. I think he's just a different breed.
Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Aljo in this fight just because of obviously Aljo's a grappler, wrestler, and then Cejudo was a Olympic champion wrestler. But I think Aljamain's size, length, and just like funkiness is gonna be too much for Cejudo, and I think he's gonna wrap him up, and I think he's gonna end it with a submission by the 5th round.
I imagine you want to keep active this year. Like most fighters, like 3 fights a year. Is that kind of what you're looking at for the rest of 2023?
Yeah, at least I want to get on the mic after this fight and then maybe call for a fight in London. That'd be cool. Mike's fighting over there. He's fighting Gunnar Nelson, so a quick turnaround and hop over. A little skip across the pond and go fight over there. Plus, it'd be nice. I've never been out of the country. So the farthest I've been is Canada or Mexico. So I want to go off the continent for once.
Well, and I want to see a card in the Pacific Northwest. I talked to Julian Erosa about this yesterday. He's also a Washington State guy like yourself. Have you heard anything? Because like they got the new arena with the Kraken. Like you figured they would want to do an event there, and there's so many fighters now on the roster that are from Washington State. I'm sure that would be behind the list. And just to add, Bellator went to Tacoma last year. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that, but yeah, dude, I've been dreaming of that because, like you said, we have so many people. We got Juliana Pena, Mike, me, Terrence, Julian Erosa, Ricky Simone, Journey Newson. Dude, we can make an entire card of people just from Washington, let alone the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
So I think it's about time, and I think they could sell it out easy.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And then you got the Canadians who could come down too from Vancouver or Alberta. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of options there too. Before we get out of here, what's downtime looking like right now? Again, I know you've been doing a bit of traveling for training. You watching anything on Netflix? Any video games? What have you been up to?
Yeah, just working on my house. I bought a house the month after I got off the Ultimate Fighter. After I got done fighting Ricky, I went and got my first house, and so just been hanging out there with the roommates, doing that, playing a little video games. I'm gonna start streaming on Twitch here soon, so
Oh, cool.
follow you, boy. Haven't created a profile or anything yet, but I'll post on my Instagram. But yeah, we'll be doing some cool stuff here soon.
What would you stream? Like, what games are you playing right now?
I love the CODs, all and I actually really like the Mortal Kombats and like those like fighter games. So, I'll experiment with some of those.
Well, speaking of Mortal Kombat and stuff, have you played? John Wood has like an arcade, does he not? That's what I heard.
I haven't been there and seen it yet, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like the original because I grew up playing like Street Fighter 2. That's like and Mortal Kombat as well. But I'm a Street Fighter guy, so if you ever get the chance to play it, it's one of the best. So
Hey, next time I go over there, I'll talk to him about it and I'll let you know how it goes.
there you go. Yeah, let me know. And yeah, it's I don't know. Just I think for me it's a little nostalgic because I grew up playing it and it was on like every arcade when I was growing up. So yeah, there you go. But we got to watch you fight, man. April 22nd, UFC Fight Night. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, so follow me for all the content on Brady_Bam Bam for my Instagram, Brady Hiestand 1 for my Twitter. Yeah, I want to thank, obviously my coaches, Rick Little, my strength conditioning coach, Dylan Lemery. He's the man. He's a doctor, and he puts us through the ringer, and he makes us ready for all our fights. All my training partners back home at Sick Jitsu, Newborn, I want to thank you. And then, my biggest sponsor, Eggers Meat. They did the most for me for this camp, so I appreciate you guys.